Imagine facing a demon so evil that it made a blind nun stare you down. What would you do if it was out to torment you and kill your siblings? In this video, I will be analysing the popular Spanish film Veronica, which is based off a real-life case that occurred back in 1991. The case has gained a cult-like following due to it becoming the first of its kind where a police report is marked as unexplainable. As such, the movie has perfectly conveyed the sinister events of its real-life counterpart without relying on cheap jump scares that plague this genre. This video will focus on high-risk scenes and scenarios where mistakes were made by the main characters and exploring how they could have made better decisions. Furthermore, we'll be delving into strategies to beat the demon in the most effective and efficient manner using the tools given to us. The context of each situation will be closely taken into account, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. The movie begins in the town of Vallecas and the police have just arrived at a crime scene. However, this is nothing like they've ever seen before. Before we're able to see what has horrified this detective, the movie cuts to 3 days earlier. Our main protagonist Veronica has just woken up and we find out today is a big day. A solar eclipse event is happening later and all the students at school will be watching on the roof. Veronica is shown to be the mother figure around the house. She looks after her 3 siblings Lucia, Irene and Antonito due to her single mother always being at work. She has taken on this paternal role ever since her father passed away, which is more responsibility than most 15-year-olds have. Anyway, little Antonito here has just wet the bed, but what Veronica doesn't know is that he's about to do something much worse. At school, the teacher is giving a presentation on the solar eclipse and explaining how ancient tribes used to perform sacrifices. When a picture of a sacrifice appears, it strangely puts Veronica in a trance. Later, when all the kids go to watch the solar eclipse, Veronica and her 2 friends, Rosa and Diana, sneak off to perform a seance with a Ouija board as Diana wants to contact her dead ex-boyfriend. The moon now begins to slowly pass between Earth and the sun, and all the kids are watching in awe. If your child uses 3D glasses to protect themselves from the sun, that's just natural selection. Joking aside, solar eclipses are very cool but must be viewed with caution. This is because looking directly at a solar eclipse without the right protection can cause retinal burns, also known as solar retinopathy. Eclipse glasses must be worn which are made of a black polymer or silver mylar. These block 100% of infrared and UV light, unlike regular sunglasses which can't block out eye-damaging radiation. Anyway, down in the basement the girls are ready to perform the seance. However, Diana doesn't have anything with her that belonged to her ex-boyfriend. As Veronica has pictures of her dad with her, she will be the one that potentially contacts the afterlife. When they all have their hands on the glass and begin the seance, it begins to move out of their control, which surprisingly isn't uncommon when playing with Ouija boards. This is because of a phenomenon called the ideomotor effect, which is usually attributed to these occurrences. This is when a person's motor movements unconsciously perform an action based on prior expectations. However, this is all thrown out of the window when the glass gets unbearably hot but doesn't affect Veronica. The glass shatters due to the heat which cuts her finger, causing it to bleed perfectly onto the board just as the moon eclipses the sun. The board then catches on fire, breaking in half, and the girls never get to end the seance properly. Their problems are far from over though, as Veronica unlocks 200% of her strength and goes Super Saiyan mode. She faints because of this and is taken to the school nurse to be treated.
Probablemente hayas tenido una bajada de tensión. Puede que tengas una deficiencia de hierro.
Iron deficiency? To be fair, this may be an extreme case of iron deficiency. Joking aside, iron deficiency is a real problem that can cause extreme fatigue, weakness, headaches and a poor immune system, so stay eating that meat. If you're vegan, spinach and certain nuts such as pistachios are also great sources of iron. After being treated, Veronica picks up her siblings to take home, and it seems the blind nun, who the kids call Sister Death, is staring directly at her. Either she's taking in the warm Spanish breeze or Veronica is fucked. Okay, performing a seance is all fun and games, and at this point they have no reason to believe in the existence of the supernatural. However, as a responsible person, if you're going to play these fantasy games, at least follow the rules as you lose absolutely nothing by doing so. This includes proper ways to conduct the seance and how to contact the dead without any unintentional byproducts being left over. Furthermore, as we are meddling with the supernatural, I would bring protective charms and symbols and would also consider bringing a silver sword if I happen to have one laying around. Finally, I would also cleanse the room with incense and remember to say goodbye to whatever I came into contact with. Back at home, Veronica is giving Antonito a bath when all of a sudden the demon starts toying with them by turning it onto the hottest setting. That same night, she awakes to a name being called by a dark figure, which as it approaches, turns out to be her dead father repeatedly saying her name. As he gets closer, she is attacked by demon claws that emerge from the bed, engulfing her, which causes her to wake up. Okay, although this appears to be a dream, it's still seriously time to get help. I suggest going to the local church, which would be very prevalent in these parts of Spain due to the majority influence of Catholicism in Madrid. I would also find out as much as I could about this Ouija board, because it's safe to say that none of these events that are occurring can be attributed to anything of this world. The best place to start would be to find out where it came from and if any more were made. If these were mass produced, there may be past cases I could extrapolate information from. Additionally, I would find out if the board came with instructions on what to do or not to do, and also any preventative or protective measures that can be used in the case of sinister occurrences. The next day at school, Veronica goes back into the basement only to find out that Sister Death has spawn camped her. She warns her that what she did was a grave mistake and that her siblings will be in danger as it wasn't her dad who answered her calls. She also warns her that the entity is with them right now, almost seemingly attached to her. Personally, if she blew her dusty ciggy breath on me, I would throw hands, but her name is Sister Death, so that might not be a good idea. She has also been giving very relevant advice with regards to what has been happening so far, and appears to have had vital first-hand experience. If it were me, I would definitely inquire more with Sister Death as she seemingly has faced this entity before. The questions I would ask would be regarding the dream of the dad and also what the demon wants. I would also ask about ways to harm this entity or if there's an ancient method that can facilitate the situation. Back at home, Veronica draws a protective symbol on a piece of paper to put above her siblings' room. She then finds out the hard way that it doesn't work when the demon attacks them. When they wake up, it looks like it was Veronica who was the one choking out her little sister. The next morning, Veronica is woken up by her siblings jumping on her bed, shouting that they're hungry. Well, it seems hunger got the better of them as they begin tearing into her arm and eating her alive. This also appears to be a nightmare created by the demon, and when she wakes up for real, she finds her mattress covered in blood. When she checks the bottom of all her siblings' mattresses, she finds massive black stains in the shape of a person, an indicator that the demon has been living under them this whole time. Personally, I would be pissed if a hobo demon was living rent-free in my house and causing all this mess. I mean, look at the shape of how the demon was sleeping. Probably got the best sleep of his life curled up like this. This demon is also putting them into further poverty by turning on the hot water when it pleases. Also, these paper signs are clearly useless, which is why she should carve symbols on any polyester or nylon materials laying around. If she doesn't have any of these, then simply carving them onto rocks should do the trick. If it were me, I would also carve as many symbols from as many cultures as possible. We later see she carves them into the walls, which I wouldn't recommend as we have just learned the demon possesses the power of pyrokinesis, so there's a chance it will just set the house on fire. If carving them into the wall is a must, at least spray it with some holy water. To avoid pissing the mum off, you could also hide the symbols behind paintings or cupboards. The last thing this hard-working single mother needs is to come back home to find her children have gone full caveman mode on her house. That may be my inner Asian speaking, but if my mum came back home to carvings on the wall, I'm getting put on a one-way flight back to Thailand. Back to slaying the demon, I would also make spray bottles with holy water for each sibling to carry at all times. Finally, I would burn sage around the house, draw salt lines around each bed and keep a silver knife with me at all times. These ideas may not work, but at this point it's worth a try. All of this is enough to convince Veronica that this is a real threat, so she takes her siblings and drops them off at her mum's workplace in order to go and visit Sister Death. She learns that Sister Death also had the same experience with this demon, which led to her gouging out her own eyes. However, this was not the solution, and that the only way to fix this is to do right what was done wrong, and that all her answers are in the book. Essentially, she's telling Veronica to go and read the instruction manual. She conveniently has it in her bag, which somehow she hasn't thoroughly read through yet. The book states that you should never end a seance without saying goodbye, something they didn't do. It's also worth noting that she picked up another instruction booklet at a store, as her original one got burnt. This is very worrying because if these Ouija boards are mass produced and the existence of the afterlife has just been proven, then it could mean the end of the world if everyone starts doing seances without reading the instruction manual. If these jobless squatting demons decide to take over the world, only the Ghostbusters will be able to take care of them. This is why it would be wise to start crafting proton packs in the event that this happens. Anyway, Veronica realizes her mistake, and the only way she's going to be able to defeat this demon is by sending it back through the same way it came from, which can only be done by performing the seance again. She goes to find Diana and Rosa at a party, and understandingly they refuse to do it again. This leaves her with no other choice but to perform the seance with her siblings. She enlists Antonito to draw these protective symbols around the house, but what she doesn't realize is that giving a 5-year-old a task with life and death consequences will be her biggest mistake. Down in the hallway, little Antonito doesn't like the look of the protective symbol and decides to turn the page to find some better drawings. He turns to the page with a symbol on invocation and draws these instead. He's essentially now taunting the demon and inviting it over, telling it that it will do nothing.
You'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the fuck out of here!
After fixing the broken board and laying the candles, the seance is now ready to be performed. They summon the presence of the demon and bid it farewell. However, it's having none of that and refuses to go. The instruction manual states that in order to properly bid it farewell, they have to sing a song. Let me know in the comments what you would sing. If it were me, I would sing some Digga-Dee to assert my dominance.
Who's that my man? Jump out rhyming while leaving his right hand. Boy, come back and back your boy. Jump out, rise his toy. Jump out, rise his toy.
Instead, they decide on a song they all know, and it doesn't take long for the demon to answer their calls. Paranormal events begin to occur around the house, and Veronica is taunted to leave the room. She walks down the hallway and is attacked by the demon as it begins to crawl out of the mattress. She just about manages to escape and decides to call the police, but in my opinion, this is a waste of time. This is because you still have to deal with the demon during the waiting period, and additionally, the police are not likely to have the tools necessary to combat this supernatural being. Instead, all her answers lie within the book, which she should have studied before performing the seance again. There would have most likely been a weapon that would be effective against the demon, or a type of incantation that could slow it down. Furthermore, in a life and death situation, she should have checked the drawings were done accurately. Even if we assume Antonito draws the correct symbols, I would have still done final checks to make sure there wasn't a missing line, misdrawn parts, or disconnected areas of the symbol, as we are unsure of the leeway provided in the demon world. After she calls the police, Antonito is viciously snatched by the demon and taken into the bathroom. She chases after it but trips over, which discombobulates her, but it's all good though because Antonito is just chilling in the corner on his own. She picks him up and flees the apartment with her other sisters, and it looks like they're all about to make it out alive. But when she looks in the mirror, she realizes that she was never carrying him. She runs back inside to find him, leaving her sisters outside, where luckily the police arrive just in time to look after them. Back inside, the demon has taken Antonito for a bath, and Veronica rudely interrupts them. I'm not even joking when I say the demon bitch slaps her Nate Diaz style into the wall. Antonito uses this opportunity to run seemingly from Veronica. Interesting. Veronica walks after him, and it appears that Sister Death was right. The demon walks with her. She realizes that she was the demon the whole time when her reflection has its own movements, coupled with Antonito refusing to go with her, indicating she was also the one that turned the hot water on and was the one choking her sister. Believing that there is no other way, she takes a shard of glass and slices her own throat in order to rid the demon for good and protect her siblings. The demon attempts to prevent this by sticking its arm down her throat and scrambling her insides. Yeah, Antonito is going to need many years of therapy after witnessing this. It could be iron deficiency. Fortunately, Antonito wasn't harmed and had his eyes closed, but they're all going to have to recover from losing their mother figure now. The film ends with all the lights coming back on and the hole being slowly burnt in an image of Veronica's face, after which we are told she has just died. In conclusion, I believe the demon could have been beaten due to the booklet providing a large number of preventative measures and information on the situation. We can see that the symbol of invocation worked like a charm, so it's safe to assume that the symbol of get this demon the hell out of here would work just as well. However, it was careless mistakes that led to Veronica's death. The demon can only attack through a vessel, therefore, when it isn't active and there are protective symbols that can't catch on fire, they are all safe and can use this period to prepare against the demon, which the booklet has provided information for. However, it is also worth pointing out that with all the pre-existing stress on Veronica and with how young she and her siblings are, making the perfect decision every time is unrealistic. Add on all the emotions from finding out that demons are real and your rational decision making skills are bound to take a massive toll. Therefore, I would give this demon an 8 out of 10 in difficulty and say that it was definitely beatable. Also, the real life case is super interesting, so if you want to read more about it, I've attached a couple interesting articles down in the description. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate you giving a like and subscribing to the channel. Peace.